welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour. Woohoo! It's one of my favorite times of the week. How about you?
I love it.
Spiritual Happy Hour just means that we are happy for at least an hour. Well, no, not really. I mean, we're happy for a lot longer than an hour. However, we are bringing a little nugget of entertainment and inspiration and joy just to you. With joy.
I wish we could dance.
We can, but we would go out of camera.
I know.
I know. But people say that we're good dancers. So we want you to know that we are working with you this week on divine intoxication. Ooh, doesn't that sound like fun? Sometimes we quote A Course in Miracles. That's also known as ACIM. And sometimes we use the word God or source or love or whatever you want to call that source of all that is.
And sometimes we quote Adirondack, and sometimes it's just us.
And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just the Master Randy Luna. We are so grateful for Randy Luna and his amazing gift of music that he blesses us with each time we have Spiritual Happy Hour.
We are so lucky that he wants to hang out with us.
We are so lucky with the Master Randy Luna. We are so lucky with Carl, the Master Director. We just are lucky. I'm so lucky with you.
We are consciousness creating form.
Yes, we are. And I want to learn a little more about divine intoxication, eh?
Well, hey,
have
you seen that new restaurant in town?
No.
It's called Karma.
No.
They don't have any menus. You just get what you deserve. Wah, wah, wah. I think God really wants us to have a sense of humor. He really wants us to learn to laugh and to play with life and at life and just have fun. What do you think?
I agree. I think that's correct.
Have you ever done the hokey-pokey?
Not since I was in the 6th grade.
You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your left foot in, you put your left foot out, and you don't really think about it until you think about it and then you mess up. Right?
That's true.
Well, that's kind of like life. We do the hokey-pokey, we're on autopilot, we don't really think about it, and it's a catchy tune.
Yes, it is.
And we start thinking too much, and we mess up. But the difference is you can turn yourself around. I know. I used to do the hokey-pokey with life, not really thinking about what I really wanted out of life, just kind of accepting all that came to me, and sometimes I'd mess up until I realized I didn't really like my life. In fact, I hated it. This, of course, was over a decade ago, long before I met you. And by taking stock of my life and consciously making a decision to be healthier, wealthier, and wiser, and in love with life, I did it. And now I just want everyone to know how they can do it too. I call it divine intoxication. So I called up the spiritual leader of Tibet, and he sent me a large goat with a long neck.
Really?
Turned out I called Dalai Lama. Wah, wah, wah. See, God wants us to have
Dalai
fun.
Lama. I got that one.
He wants us to laugh. He wants us to be silly. It's that emotion that is divine intoxication. See, we all know there's only love, right? And joy,
right?
Of course. And when you're in a perfect alignment with God, there's only love. Everything else is unreal. Love is the only thing that is real. And A Course in Miracles, ACIM, says that anything other than love is unreal. This is like the fundamental message of A Course in Miracles. And it doesn't even exist if it's unreal. And Adirondack, of course, you know those guys, right?
I do know those guys.
They say, be the love that you are. Because anything real is love or God, and anything real can't be threatened. And therein lies the peace of God. Done.
That makes sense.
There's no middle ground. For me, that makes it super easy. You know how I love protocols? I don't have to really think about it, right? If it doesn't feel like love, it's not. So I was watching the news the other day, and there was this story about a burglar that broke into a house.
Really?
Yeah, and he starts shining his light around looking for valuables, and some nice things catch his eye, and as he reaches for them, he hears, "Jesus is watching you." Startled, the burglar looks around, and he sees no one. So he continues to put things into his bag, and again he hears, "Jesus is watching you." This time he sees a parrot. "Who are you?" he says. "Moses," the bird replied. Who the heck would name a parrot Moses? Well, the same guy who named the Rottweiler Jesus. Wah, wah, wah.
I think on that one, I'm going to bow out. Leave you to it.
So there are 2 points I want to make today. Number 1, God has a wonderful sense of humor. He wants you to laugh a lot. He wants us to be intoxicated with life, divinely intoxicated. And number 2, because it's that intoxication that is consciousness, and consciousness creates form. What I want you to take away is how to be divinely intoxicated every day with no more of life's hangovers. So, why is divine intoxication so important? Because that intoxication is consciousness, and consciousness creates form. In other words, you create your world or our world with how you feel, and more importantly, with how you think. So my son, I have a little prop here. My son once called me an outlier because I have this uncanny ability to manage to do things when all odds are against me. I call it a miracle worker. And I really do believe miracles happen all the time. I believe we, spiritual beings who know it, who are awake, are outliers. So here's a little diagram of what an outlier looks like. If you look at sets of data comparatively, much of the data is going to line up in some form of consensus. An outlier is this little dot right here, way outside of the norm. And typically they're behaving unlike everyone or everything else. While most are following the pack, the outlier is doing something unusual. So that's my goal in speaking with you here today. Once again, to remind you that you are an outlier and that you understand your consciousness creates form and you are creating what you want in your life. Because it's simple, not necessarily easy, but simple. A turning point for me was when I learned to laugh at myself, when I learned to see the humor and the lesson in everything, when I took 100% responsibility for everything that happened in my life. That's when I became an outlier. That's when I became lucky. I don't really believe in luck. I don't think it has anything to do with it. I just create things where others don't believe they can. Why? Because I feel I can. Mary Oliver said, "Someone I love once gave me a box of darkness. It took me years to understand that that too was a gift." Can I share a story with you? God has a wonderful sense of humor. Marilyn and I were driving along the California coast going up to an event, and we got into a little disagreement, and we stopped talking to each other. I'm driving, I'm looking out the window this way, she's looking out the window the other way, and the tension between us was so thick that after a while I just couldn't take it, and I pulled off at the next exit. We both jumped out of the car, and we went our separate ways for about 5 minutes, and then when we came back, we realized that we had just parked under a sign for the town that we pulled into called Harmony, California. God wants us to be intoxicated with life. ACIM says nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Consciousness creates form. Write that down. I actually have those words hanging on my wall. You actually think everything in your life into form. It's more like you feel it into existence. The more you believe it, the denser it is. The more you have of it, whatever it is. And ACIM says, herein lies the peace of God. Again, there's no middle ground. You're either on the ego side, who's actually the PR person for fear and limits, or on the side of love or joy or God, divinely intoxicated. So yesterday, after I'd written my whole talk and was out playing my favorite sport, treasure hunting, I had a cosmic joke appear. It was after looking for a bookshelf for Carl's office. We had already been to 3 stores and nothing was really appearing until the very last moment in the last store. I had purchased something that I was not necessarily looking for, and I was up paying for it, and I was leaning against a bookshelf. Suddenly, Carl and I both looked down and said, "That's it, the bookshelf." So we bought it. And as they were emptying all of the books out of it, I saw this book called Funology, Phunology, and it was written in 1922. So this morning after my meditation, I opened it up to this paragraph. It was amazing. Consciousness creates form. Only what they had done in the word consciousness, they had made the whole phrase capital letters and the word us in consciousness lowercase. This isn't anything new, although quantum physics is now proving to be true. And guess what? Like I said earlier, this book was written in 1922. So how do you live in divine intoxication? Well, step 1, understand storytelling. Get out of the hokey-pokey. Develop a new habit that seems simple, yet it's based on the way you create your beliefs and, in turn, your expectations. This literally creates new neural pathways in your brain and brings you into alignment with your goals. This is what we teach, Marilyn and I, in our Everything is Possible Clerkshop. So stop telling it like it is and start telling it like you want it to be. Develop this as your new habit, a new neural pathway in your brain. Remember ACIM, nothing unreal exists, nothing real can be threatened. You are the judge. You are determining whether something is good or bad, love or fear, unreal or real. It's not the thing itself. It is only the story you choose to tell yourself about it. Every moment of your life, you tell a story about every person, place, or thing, and you decide right then and there, is it good? Is it bad? Is it wanted? Is it unwanted? Is it real? Is it unreal? There's nothing wrong with this. This is a part of the human experience. You don't have to stop telling stories, but the first step is to become aware of the fact that you are telling stories about everything and you're judging accordingly. And realize in any given moment, you have a choice of how to tell this story. Are you on the side of the ego? Remember, the PR person for fear and limitation? Or are you on the side of God, the side of love? And the 3 most powerful words in the English language are, I am, fill in the blank. Adironda talks about this all the time. Whatever you say after I am, you're stating that that's what you are. So every time we say I'm fat or I'm broke or I'm tired or I'm overwhelmed or I'm lonely, the minute you say I am, you actually feel that way. If you say, I have unwanted weight, or I have no money at the moment, or I have a lot to do, I currently have no companion, it's just what you are experiencing. When you say I am, that says who you are. Do you see the difference? Better still, say, I am curvilicious, or I'm working on a beautiful body, or I'm abundant, or I get to do amazing things, or my perfect partner is very near. In other words, change it, but change it to something you can believe in. And this is where the habit comes in. Fake it till you make it. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. Your stories are your beliefs, and just by becoming uber aware of your stories, you can change your beliefs and your life. You are not your beliefs. You should never deny yourself of your beliefs or your feelings, but learning to view them simply as objectively will allow you to easily change them. Allow your beliefs, but don't personalize them. This goes back to the I am fat versus I have unwanted weight. This is why positive affirmations don't always work. You have to actually feel what you are telling yourself. If you don't believe something that you're telling yourself, you won't feel good about it. Remember, beliefs are practiced, habitual thoughts. Your beliefs are not fact. They're simply emotional feedback for how you feel about your life. If you practice objectifying them, you can gain power over them. For example, you don't say, I am a sliced up piece of flesh and an imperfectly human. Instead, you say, I have a cut on my finger. Your current state of having a cut is not who you are. Instead of saying, I am lonely, you'd say, I'm currently experiencing some loneliness, but lonely is not who you are. You can also depersonalize your beliefs. Instead of saying, I have to find the perfect diet to be able to lose the unwanted weight, since everything I've tried hasn't worked, you'd say, my current belief is that I have to find the perfect diet to be able to lose my unwanted weight. When you add my current belief is, you depersonalize your thought. Remember, your beliefs create your current expectations, which create consciousness, which is what manifests in physical form. You still get the opportunity to take action to create form. However, your belief plays a primary role, then action. When you focus on what is not happening, you get more of what is not happening. How many times have you heard Adirondack say that? So instead, focus on what you want and how you want to feel about things, rather than what is not happening and how you don't want to feel. So how do you change your beliefs? You retrain your thought process by telling new stories. Our goal is to build new neural pathways. Quit playing the hokey-pokey and turn yourself around. This takes some diligence and willingness. I am willing, right? After all, chances are you've been telling this story your whole life. There's no law that you have to tell a bad story as a bad story. Whatever the story is, how can you tell it as a good story? What did you learn from it? How did it change you? What good became of it? This is the key, the real skill. If you want to create new neural pathways of habitual thought, form beliefs more in line with what you truly want, and rock your universe. Then you start with a commitment to yourself. An easy way to do this is with a stretchy bracelet. You've heard Marilyn and I talk about this so many times. We call them the awareness bracelet. You can use any stretchy bracelet, or you can get them on our website. And the whole idea is you change the wrist that your bracelet is on every time you catch yourself with a negative thought. And this just helps you start to see what your thinking is looking like. It brings awareness to your thoughts. And if you listen, you'll hear your true thoughts. I'm ugly. I'm underpaid. I'm not worthy of XYZ. We all have them, but these are not in alignment with what you truly want. If you're experiencing an absence of something, your true underlying belief is already negative. If they were positive, you wouldn't be experiencing an absence. Knowing this is awesome. Now you know what to work on. This is why so many outliers overcame horrific situations against all odds. They simply changed their story to one that fit their desire and worked on matching their belief to that outcome. In other words, they faked it until they made it. You've heard their story. I didn't want to be like my parents, or I knew I didn't want to be poor. I wanted better things for my children, or I didn't believe that just because my mother had this disease, I had to have it. Remember, consciousness creates form. And this is how we all change the world. We start internally with ourselves, one belief at a time, and it begins to change those around us, and pretty soon our world, the world, also starts to change. And when you do this, you're modeling it for others. Here's a simple way to be proactive. Carry one of those little Post-it pads in your purse or pocket when you're in a public bathroom or somewhere like that, and write a Post-it note that is worthy of a smile. something that could be for anyone. This little act of kindness can help others to begin to shift their beliefs, and whatever you write on that note comes right back to you, too. Post it on the bathroom wall. This is one I saw after I had left my phone at home just before leaving on an international trip. As I got ready to check in, I realized I didn't have my electronic ticket, which was my phone, and had to go all the way back home to get it and still make my plane, which I did. I'm still not sure how I did it, but I think that Post-it note had something to do with it. It really made me smile. Another really simple habit to form for those times that someone does get under your skin or is continuing to get under your skin, for me it can be at work. As simple as that person who keeps sending me demanding emails. See their name, smile, appreciate them, then read the email. Sit back and really take a moment to love on them. They'll feel it. John Wooden said, if we magnify blessings as much as we magnify disappointments, we would all be happier. Let's take a moment to meditate, shall we? We'll just go into heart resonance. Just slow your breath down and just take a couple breaths. Slow down and allow your body to relax. It only takes a second to go into heart resonance. Let your breath drop into your heart as if it was going out of your body, in front of you, crossing over like a figure eight and coming back to you. And just feel yourself start to relax. And now think of something that you really, really love. Get the image in your mind's eye. You can let a smile come over your lips. Feel a little twinkle in your eyes. And at that moment, when you're in heart resonance, take a moment to really send love to whoever it is that you've been struggling with. Thank you so much for joining us for Spiritual Happy Hour. I'm grateful for all of you and for taking a moment out to allow me to preach to the choir, because we all know this. We just get the opportunity to remember. It's good to be reminded of it because we could all use some new neural pathways. And as long as we all remember that we are playing the hokey-pokey, we're creating consciousness that creates the better world. So we are going to take a little break and listen to some channeled music from the Master Randy Luna, who we are so blessed to have with us. And then we'll hear what Adironda and the Council of Light has to say about creating new neural pathways and consciousness creates form and divine intoxication.
Ah, so it is good day to you, huh? It's a good day to you, good day to you, good day to you, good day to each and every one of your bright and shining faces in the light, because you are the light. Ah, and we are not intoxicated, but we are divine, huh? Ah, for you see, in that energy, you carry that divine frequency. We know you know this. And every time you say to yourself, I know that, we ask you, are you confirming that? Or are you saying, oh, this is old stuff, I know that? Because if you are confirming, I know who I am a divine being of light. Or if you're saying, oh, I know that, that is two different statements. I know who I am is a wonder-filled, positive statement. I know that is just exactly a statement saying that is what I need to know now. So as you are understanding that frequency, as you are understanding that energy, we ask you to think, feel, and experience the purchase order to the universe that you are indeed creating. You're not hokey-pokeying around the planet unless you choose to. And you are writing a new theme for even your hokey-pokey, huh? You see, that energy of creating new neural pathways in your brain is now a proven fact. You know quantum physics comes through. You know that energy evolves in a way that the experience is being created every single moment. So when you feel uncertain, even though you may not speak it, that feeling is being made manifest. That energy is being a part of the creation around your form. You see, in consciousness, as the Joy stated, there is the word us. And that us is you. That us is creating the energy every single moment, every single feeling, every single experience. You are you. And we know you always look to some guru or somebody outside of yourself to confirm that you are you. Well, the word guru, you know what it stands for. G-U-R-U. Think about that. G. That also stands for God. U. That stands for us and you. R. That stands for relax into the energy of you. Again, you and us. So, God, you are relaxing in to being a part of that energy. And as you are relaxing into being a part of that energy, you become one with the feeling of the divine. And for some, that may feel like you are intoxicated with bliss. For some, that may simply feel as the divine as you are. So with that energy, we know that the energy that comes through you is being made manifest every single moment. When you create new neural pathways in your brain, we ask you, what happens to the old neural pathways? Those old neural pathways are very strong. Every single time you tell the same story over and over about the same trauma or the same disaster or the same creation or the same disconnection or the same problem or opportunity or challenge or whatever you had in your life, you are laying down the foundation for that to be created again. We don't believe that is what you are truly choosing. However, that feeling ignites in your heart, plays out in your brain, and goes out into the world of your field. So instead, stop telling that story. Stop the hokey-pokeying through life and bring in a new dance. Bring in a new frequency. Bring in that new pathway in only a way that you and the divine that is within you can express. How does that feel? To do that new frequency. Our vessel Marilyn is worried that we're going to stand up and dance for you. But we are not, because then our head would be out of shot. You see, sometimes one might feel limited by the square space of their life, when in reality, it is just a virtual image of you, and it does not limit you at all. Think about that. Your only limitation is the belief that you can be limited. Your own belief in the infinite possibilities is the truth of you. We used to know a guide, a physical guide, not a spiritual guide, a physical guide, Herzl in Israel. And we will go again. But Herzl used to say, "'Tis true," we said. "'Tis true." So know that you are, 'tis true as well. You are the truth of who you are. Divinely intoxicated by your bliss. And for that we love. Just as we love you. Just as we see you. Just as we know you. And just as we are you. We bid you namaste. Namaste.